10 o'clock, we'll call Sawyer County Administrative Committee meeting to order. Ask the clerk to call roll, please.
Ron Kinsley.
Here.
Ron Buckholz.
Here.
Marshall Savitsky.
Here.
John Regheimer is excused. Stacy Hessel. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Certification compliance open meeting laws.
This meeting was noticed to the media and public as required by Section 19.84 of Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. The meeting agenda is set. Public comment. Is anybody online? Number 8, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was May 14th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Marshall Savinsky, second by Mr. Buckles. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, county clerk report. Ms. Klein.
This is just my usual report. We're seeing a lot more marriage licenses now. The June and July calendars are filling up. Our office wall is up and they painted and they're putting the door in today. That's really making a huge difference. So we're able to let people come in and sit down and have a good experience when they get their marriage license, which is how it should be. That's great. We appreciate that. The election invoices went out. A lot of them are back now. I think we have 13,000 back now as of today. The municipal clerks are now doing their self-provider status for elections, so most of them have their training, and I'm following up on a few that are still behind, that making sure they get that done. This is going to be great for the county because it's going to make all the towns have really good clerks that know how to run elections as a foundation, which is the goal, the legislative intent of the statutes. And I'll still be helping them in the background. We have all of the candidates are ready. The ballot is at Command Central, ready to be, they send me a mock-up of it, which I have to send to WEC for certification to make sure it's all correct. But it's like 3/4 of the way through, and then we'll be ready for printing for the ballots, and they're ordered for the towns. And that's about it. We've got Greg and Brian Deo in the August primary for sheriff.
Questions, concerns? Letter A, proposed policy change the procedure manual. I'd like to thank Mr. Buckles and Ms. Klein for taking time to go through that. I do have one thing I would like to address, if I may. Where you have that in there where if you don't make to the meeting by the time they have roll call, how's it worded? They don't want you to participate. I think we have to allow people a few minutes to show up because some people can be late a little bit. An example was I had to go to the doctor a couple days ago and I was getting close to, it was in Rice Lake and a deer hit me. Things can happen. And I would like to allow them people 5, 10, 15 minutes. Maybe Liz could write down this person showed up at this time. But they should be able to participate. And I'm talking like an hour meeting. I don't mean a meeting that lasts 15, 20 minutes and they can still get here 15 minutes late. I don't think that's right, but that's my thoughts. Yes.
Instead of changing it to that, could you just allow for, I don't know what the word would be, but like allow for grace, but I think you should still be firm because otherwise people are going to take advantage of what you're saying.
Well, I would like to think that the group of people that you have on a county board are not gonna abuse it, they're gonna show up on time. I know quite a few people show up real early, which is fine, and some people just got done work and they can make it on time, that's fine, but what if you're getting done work and you miss it by 5 minutes? I still want you to participate in the meeting, so.
But could you have it as the board chair and clerk's discretion or something? Because it does make her life harder, I would think, and it disrupts the meeting. So I'm just thinking if you had it just, the verbiage to where it's a strong stance, but you can have leeway based on the chairman because we have a great board right now, but down the road, this is for people that are not behaving correctly.
I guess I would just like to say that it has more to do with if they're marked absent up here at the top of the meeting minutes, and then later they're talking and they're voting and they're making motions, now their name is down here further down. And if a person is looking at this later, historically, they're looking back and saying, well, this person was absent, but here they are making a motion or adding discussion or, so that was kind of my thinking, is that these are just suggestions, but I don't know how you want to do that. But if they, we've seen it, like, I won't name names, but there's a person who would miss most of a meeting and then walk in and start talking, and they're talking about all the things and then changing how votes go and stuff like that. They weren't even there for the whole half that meeting. So you know what I mean? That's, how do we avoid that?
Yeah. I know that there was times that Lynn would write down, that this person arrived at this time, and the meeting has already started. Go ahead, I'm just
Well,
trying.
maybe we can just put in there too, that, like, Ms. Hessel stating that we can put a timeline in there. After this time, you no longer can participate in that meeting. I mean, we have to have something there because it's been abused. There's no doubt about it, and I can't preach that enough. And it's time to put a stop to that. So if we throw something in there like that, I would be okay with that, I guess.
Well, we could write down the time they arrived. So here's where my dilemma is. I feel like the current rules, which I redlined this out, have me writing the reason why the people were missing or late. That's the current board policy. And I feel like that's too personal. If someone had a health issue or something, we don't need a reason on here for the whole public to look at and say, oh, he had a heart attack. Not going to put that down. I just feel like that's a violation of someone's privacy. And then similarly, if they're late, which I do that sometimes, but I feel like then you're scolding someone. Then it looks like, okay, late, every time you look at their. And it's going to be, so now I guess if we had a time that they arrived, the justification for that would be so that the minutes reflected that they arrived, and then later, if they were allowed to participate, the time would be indicated. That would make sense. I just hate to say late because it looks like they're in trouble then. I don't know that that's kind of a delicate situation.
I consider it like work, black or white. If you're late, you're late. If you're on time, you're on time. So when you document that somebody's late on here, and they do get per diem, it's like being at work. In my opinion, you should be marked as late and all capital letters on there. I've had it to me before. I've been late to a lot of meetings or whatever, but not long. But I do try to get here on time. Of course, we all do. But I do think it's important that they do participate.
Did you have something else to say?
I was just going to say, because what if you put 5 minutes, but they show up 6 minutes? So
I know.
that's where putting a time that gets muddy, where if you just are black and white and say, if you're not here for roll call, which usually is about 4 minutes into the meeting anyway, I like just the black and whiteness of it, but.
Any input?
Well, I don't think you have to say late, but if you say so-and-so showed up at 6:05 or whatever the case may be, people can infer that, yeah, they got here late, but before the discussion item, so they are able to participate. I don't know. You guys govern yourselves, so I don't want to insert too much.
Well, I guess I would propose the time they arrived, because that's not so personal then, if we apply that to every single person and committee across the board, so that if you're late, you're late. If you're here at 6:47 for a 6:30 meeting, it says 6:47. It's not pejorative like the word late. That seems like a violation of, so then that's the time, at least then the minutes make sense. And then you're saying then allow them to participate still. They should use their own judgment. I mean, if you miss a whole discussion and you're not privy to what's going on, you should abstain from voting at that point. Maybe there should be a lesson on when to abstain. For example, you missed the whole meeting, you walk in, and then you should just abstain at that point. if you don't know the material or something, maybe we need more training, and that would solve the problem proactively.
We can guide them gently through the meeting as well.
What if we change it to that, if they're not here for roll call, that's fine, you mark them absent, but if they walk in at whatever time, you write in the minutes, John Brown entered the meeting at this time. And that way, if that person participates later, we know why they did show up. If that's acceptable. Does anybody else have any questions regarding the rest of the fine work that they did?
I had just a couple of things I wanted to point out. So we don't have a discipline policy, and I watched that Von Brayson Law Seminar on board members, and they made a huge, clear point that we should have something in writing. So there's like, you could get a letter of reprimand, you could be, something like that. And I don't know what form discipline takes, but our policy mentions discipline, but it doesn't say what the discipline is. So that's
there's-
one.
There's some in the statutes that says for discipline too.
Yeah, and then this thing doesn't have to be in here, but Ron Buckholz liked it, and I thought I'd share it with you. We don't have to leave it in here, but this is from the statutes. The chair can issue a warrant requiring the sheriff.
Yeah, I read that.
I have that in here just to show how serious attendance is for county board. I mean, the Wisconsin legislature intends county board members to be at a meeting, and it's this serious that you can have a warrant issued. So I mean, this is the perspective. I just put it in here for a discussion. I mean, we don't, Ron said leave it in here.
Yeah, well, that's, Liz, that's a state statute. The county board, Sawyer County Board of Supervisors are supposed to follow state and county statute. So why not leave it in there? I mean, if Ron wants to send the sheriff out and go get a warrant or whatever, go for it, so.
No, I like it in there. I read it in there and I laughed, so,
It was kind of funny. I mean, it's educational.
well, yeah.
I think it'll improve who reads and who doesn't.
I mean, people will look at it and say, ooh, I didn't know that, It's
I thought the bigger issue was when people weren't showing up for 6 months.
Well, we have that too. So there's also some kind of 3 strikes rule we're not enforcing. I don't know. And the different committees and different boards have different rules. So this line here, members must be present, must be in person to vote. That's in the HHS board rules. That's a state statutory body that's different from our committees. But they're looking at their bylaws now too, and Julia wants theirs to match our committees more. So then my question is, should they be in person to vote, or can they vote virtually? These are questions we need to figure out. These are just the kind of things that other counties have in their rules. So that's another one that I don't know the answer to.
No, we talked about that before, about if a person is virtual, and if we had to go into closed session, they had to tell us whether they were there alone or not. So.
Yeah, that's standard for Robert's rules, but to actually vote is another matter. Voting where you're, so that, we had an old resolution that said you had to vote by voice vote, and the only exception to a secret ballot is the chair and vice chair election. So if they have to have a voice vote, and then, I guess the other thing is our show of hands, but if the person's online, that's a little distracting. If they're in a window of 16 little people in a window, how are they voting effectively? And I mean, you wanted to encourage in-person participation as much as possible. So if they wanted to make a difference and have their vote count, maybe they need to be in person if they can, if it can't be avoided.
Well, if you have 3 abilities to be unassuming, like we've talked about, I think that they should, if they take the time out of wherever they're at to get on Zoom, they should be able to vote.
I agree with that, and I wasn't here in 2020, but I'm assuming everything was virtual for at least a time. That would mean having to change this whole thing to even hold meetings, which wouldn't make sense.
Okay, so I can take that out. I just highlighted it because I thought you should discuss it because of it is the HHS board rule. But that could also change if Julia can change that. These I just highlighted because this is a conflict with something further down. So this section here, that we're in here, that says a board member any board member who's not a member of a committee can be asked to serve as an alternate to make a quorum, and they get full membership privileges. That means voting. But further down, it talks about the chair can vote at meetings. And it's like anyone can vote when they're sitting in a meeting, not just the chair. So is that a conflict?
You're probably correct. How that came about is we were short a few times, and we had a supervisor that lived right in town. We asked to bring that supervisor in to make the quorum because he lived 2 minutes away. And for that meeting, he was allowed to vote because he was participating in that meeting. So,
And just for the information, I have done that on Land and Water. This was a while ago, back a while ago. They didn't have a quorum there, and I was sitting at that meeting. And I sat in on that meeting so they could get a quorum, and I was still a voting member. So,
yeah, just for that meeting,
just for that meeting, right?
yeah.
I like the way that it's worded, that invite a board member.
So do we not need 6? Because we don't need it to specify that the chair can vote at committee meetings, because anyone can, any board member can. So 6 almost doesn't need to be here at all.
Strike it from there then. I think sometimes it's like when you vote, the chair should probably be the last person to vote, because if you had, example today, if we had 5 and the vote was 2-2, the chair would be the tie-breaking vote. And I also will share with you, the chair also has the right not to vote at all. So that would leave it a 2-2 tie, just as an example.
So should I still strike it, or do you want to clarify it in the context of the chair normally doesn't vote unless it's a tie? Or is that getting in the weeds then? This just jumped out at me. It's just a logical, it's a,
Yeah, well, it's good that you took time to find that.
okay. And then there's just a few more things. This is public participation. So this is based on what Rebecca Roker recommended after we talked about this. To maintain order and for the safety and consideration of board members, members of the public may not approach the county board members at the meeting table before, during, or after board meetings and must remain outside of the area designated as no members of the public beyond this point.
Could we make that like a 30-point font?
Well, but Rebecca did suggest putting it in board policy. And then,
I can live with that.
I like that.
Is that what those signs right there say?
yes,
So they can't come past those signs?
right, but they're not being,
They're not being followed.
yeah. But I mean, the thing is, if we're going to enforce anything, it needs to also be here, so the public has fair warning that this is our policy.
Well,
So
that's
it's good to put
probably-
it in.
The chair of that committee or the chair of the county board should probably participate a little more in that and enforce it.
So could we add that to what the spiel is that they read for public comments? Maybe
Or at the
good.
end of the meeting, yeah. That certainly is probably a bright idea.
Yeah, I think Jay is doing that already.
And we talked a little bit about that. And that's so like if we have papers we have to sign for ordinances or resolutions, it gives us a chance to do that before people come up. Right.
So then the other issue is compensation. So several board members have been upset that people are getting paid per diems when they don't attend the meeting, or they only come in at the last 10, 15 minutes, and then nobody's policing that. They file those vouchers in Cindy's office, and she doesn't know if they're here. She looks back at this to see if they were absent or not, and then we have this conflict of they were absent, but they walked in somewhere in there.
But that's why if it's said,
Right, I like that. So then the question is, the per diems, I added these can be taken out. In person and seated at roll call to claim a per diem, or the chair can make an exception, or, that could be approved by the chair. You could say, yeah, go ahead, you can get paid for this. You could say that. At some point, Cindy's gonna come back to us and ask us, was the person at the meeting? I don't know what you want. This is just what board members said they wanted. And then, the last line is to just submit those vouchers regularly, like
yeah,
within 30 days if you can, so that they're not adding up to the end of the year, and then we can't go back and prove all the meetings.
The payroll person has contacted me different times to ask me whether this person was there to be paid or not. So I don't have a problem with that.
So do you think that the person should be present and seated at roll call because that's the official record? Otherwise, the payroll person or I have to comb through all the minutes to see if they walked in at some certain time. I don't know how you,
But if they turn in their vouchers every 30 days or less or close to that, it's not near as bad going compared to what had happened in the past.
10 months? Yeah, okay, so should we take that out then? Strike D?
I like both of them in, if you're asking opinion.
I do too. I like those, how they are presented.
Again, it's the black and white, be here, don't get paid.
Well, this is gonna go to the full board too. And I just want to make sure there's nothing else, because this thing is long. No, now it gets into all the committees. Okay, so obviously any changes we make like this would also, I'll have to comb through the committees and make sure that it's consistent with committees, but I don't think anything down there changes. And HHS is its own thing, that's a board. And CJCC is also different. It's a different kind of animal. And that's a lot of citizen members. So we also can't be real draconian with rules when you have doctors and judges and lawyers who are giving up their free time to come and participate. You know, these are some of the considerations. So this really is specifically for board members. So yeah, that's it then. That's all the changes.
I have one question, is it, at the bottom of the names of other committees, did we put that new committee on there? Where Mindy participates? John Righeimer and Mindy, there was the paperwork we had received, Northwest.
Yeah,
planning.
and it's not John Righeimer, it was only Mindy.
Yeah,
Yeah, Northwest, Travel Northwest Wisconsin, is that in the
Yeah.
list? Let me
I just
see.
saw that now.
I don't remember how far down that is. There's a list of all those outside committees.
Really close to the end.
Okay, so obviously it's not there. Well, why don't we just do a review of the actual committees and make sure they're updated? If I can't find it fast.
Just thought of it, all right. So this still goes to the full board. What are we gonna do, with the changes moving forward, or?
I'll make a motion to send the changes to the full board.
I would second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Hassel, second by Mr. Savinsky to approve and send to the full board. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution to adopt a county policy. So that's done. Number 11, Australia, welcome.
All right, good morning. So for the Veteran Service Office in May, we remain quite busy. It's pretty similar to a year ago with 455 phone calls and 915 letters, emails, faxes, and 172 office visits. And our walk-ins are still quite high. Probably not going to change anytime soon. As far as disability and compensation and pension claims, we've submitted 85 claims to the end of May and received retroactive payment of $442,658.46 for the claims that were decided in the veterans' favor. As far as a year ago, we had 72 claims and we had $187,505 come in for the veterans. As far as the La Crosse Vet Center, we keep doing that. We got a good program. We co-managed and hosted 2 individual and 4 group counseling sessions for our veterans. We continue with our outreach as far as the coffee and conversation. And that had pretty good showing. It's around a dozen people that show up for those meetings, average, I would say. Memorial Day events, we supported that. Nicole took Hayward and I took everything south of Hayward. And that was good. Met some new veterans and got them on their way into the office, so it was fruitful. And as far as social media recap, as far as Facebook Facebook goes, we had 264 followers, that was up 6. 6,551 views, that went up 16%, and 222 engagements, and that was up 5.2%. Our training, we attended the Minneapolis VA Healthcare System CVSO training. They have that once a year. And it was really worthwhile going to. We learned some new stuff, the things that the healthcare system is changing. So to keep up to speed with that, it was good. The other thing I asked them Minneapolis about 2 years ago, one of these meetings about doing quarterly events. Milwaukee does that for most of the state of Wisconsin as far as their healthcare systems, and what rolls into that too is usually the Veterans Benefits Administration or the VA Regional Office out of Milwaukee as well, where we can talk about with them basically the people that can make changes in the programs. We can talk to them about what we're experiencing, the problems we're seeing, and they can tell us the problems they're seeing, as well, and what they're doing to mitigate those issues to help serve the veterans better. So actually Minneapolis jumped, they're going to do that. They're going to start this year, which is pretty cool, because that will just help keep everybody on the same page and streamline processes and hopefully cut down redoing of paperwork or phone calls or communication. So hopefully that will bear fruit. Our training is up to date, and we've been pretty busy. Any questions?
Are you still just doing casework on Wednesdays?
Yeah, it hasn't changed too much. I still got people coming in. I had probably, I don't know, I had a page and a half of contacts yesterday. So it was busy. It was busy. It picked up around 10 o'clock and it just kept going, so.
Not to put you on the spot, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. I'll just preference that. Have you ever considered asking for a receptionist in your budget?
You know what, okay, so could I use some additional help? Probably. But the fact of the matter is, I don't have the real estate to expand. So I do not have that. And there's pros and cons to everything too, because if we had somebody that could potentially screen, that was up to speed on benefits and knew how to, help navigate for us as far as scheduling and screening people in, it would be helpful. But they still have a direct access right to Nicole's office, right to my office, and that's not going to stop because I don't have a physical barrier. Now, if I had a physical barrier, I don't think that's necessarily serving the veterans as well either. You're going to turn people away and turn them off, and I would rather take the brunt of it up front personally, and deal with the issues as they come in, than shield them and potentially push one person away. That you know what I'm saying? So you can turn people off real quick by hiding behind walls, and I don't want to do that either.
And I've just noticed several times that you've had to excuse yourself from one meeting to go to help, but
Yeah.
I thought like it'd be like a bank where you have that desk as you enter. Hi, where can I direct you to? Because you go in there and if you're new, you don't know where to really go. So I was thinking more of like a twofold with you and ADRC. But
Yeah, we had that somewhat with when Nicole was doing that. As far as the ADRC, Mel, when Mel was the receptionist there, Mel was really good. I know she didn't work for me, but I'd say, hey, if it was just me, I'm going to lunch. I'll be right back in 15 minutes, or I've got a meeting, I'll be back in an hour. And I would put something on the wall, but because, you walk in there, you don't know, you're going to ask somebody, where's Gary, and so that was helpful. But they, you know, and like I said, I'm not trying to leech off ADRC's personnel, but they haven't filled, they've had, I think, one person over there, maybe 8 hours total since they had it,
We've had a
right?
large turnover.
Oh, I know,
in that
I know you
area.
have, and I'm
There's
not,
no-
I'm not throwing stones, I'm
Yeah.
just telling you that, so it hasn't been, that's why. But we just deal with it, I guess, at this point. But like I said, even if I wanted to, I got a physical expansion problem. So, and I don't see how you would modify that building anymore and make it viable, other than making an office out of one of the bathrooms, which, you know. Anyway, they are big, they're beautiful. I wouldn't mind having a personal bathroom, but no, but anyway. But yeah, so there's that too, right? So, other than that, I think we're okay. Could life be a little bit easier? Probably. But I don't see it happening easily, okay, or without cost. Does that make sense? So I'll say I'm happy where I'm at right now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Number 12, veteran tribute plans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I dropped a check and the signed paperwork off with James Mellum at Nelson Lumber back a couple days after the admin meeting last month. I also followed up with an email stating that we do have that 12-inch drop for him to pay particular attention to when he's designing this. We don't have anything back yet. I don't think Stacy's heard anything either, so we don't have anything to bring to take action on this morning, but we're moving forward.
Okay. 13, informational technology, Mr. Colson.
Morning.
Morning.
So let's see, I think, oh, you do have the correct report up there, good. So a couple weeks ago, Alex and I installed a new internet connection for the ambulance station down in Ojibwa. Their old internet was getting really, really bad, so we replaced it with a T-Mobile connection. We did network rewiring for the county clerk and register of deeds. We kind of piggyback off of the rebuild that they were doing there with the new wall, so that's done. We spent some time at the airport replacing some network equipment out there, so that increased their network performance also. We started backing up our email account. It's something we never had done before, so now we have another copy of email and other online cloud data. And then on page 2 of the report, is that in there?
Have page 1.
Oh, that was the Zoom and YouTube report?
Oh, yep, I've got that.
There we go. Oh, it's going to be down a little bit further. There we go. Okay. So this committee last month asked me if we could provide some counts on online viewership for both live through Zoom and then recorded YouTube. And those are the numbers that we have there. And so I won't add any editorial comments. You can kind of see for yourself what they have been over the past 6 months or so. Kind of give each committee counts as well as an average and then a high count for each of the Zoom and then YouTube viewers. So they're both being used. That's my report.
Any questions? Thank you, Mike. Oh, I do have a question. Mike, at the bottom of the page 1, it says intersections. Installed cameras at intersections.
Oh, right. That's something we got from law enforcement to put some cameras at key intersections, specifically 27 and 63, as well as some on Main Street. So that's what that is. It's more surveillance in public areas.
Okay, thank you. Number 14, Human Resource, Ms. Lily Rue.
Good morning. Have my report. Nothing really new to add. We're going to interview for clerk of court this afternoon. We have 3 good candidates there that we're interviewing. And we have a fair number of vacancies at the moment. So, but working through those. Other than that, unless you have any questions,
Let's get to the policies.
get to the policies. So, there's the AI policy, which like we talked about last week, or last month, we currently don't have an AI policy, so we need to implement a policy because we are aware that staff is using it. So this is, I kind of borrowed from other counties and different places, and this is what we're proposing.
So if you had time to read through it, I read through it. I keep thinking, are we covering enough on AI? But I think it's kind of a learning process as we go with it.
It is, and also like we talked about last month, some departments might need to implement a stricter or, more detailed policy, like in our EMS area because of protected health information, or in our Health and Human Services area because they deal with clients differently than, say, like our zoning, right? But this is pretty broad. It kind of touches on all of that, but I could see where individual departments might have to come up with even more detailed.
Need a motion or anything for this? I make a motion and bring this as written to the full board.
We have a motion by Mr. Zavinski, second by Ms. Hessel to approve the AI and pass it on to the full county board.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And for the rest of the story.
Yeah. So then the next little group is some proposed changes to the personnel policy manual. And I don't know if you, I don't know if you read them all, or if you want me to go through all of these, or tell me what you would like.
Well, I took time to read them all, and had a couple things.
Okay?
One thing was use of county vehicles out of, like some deputies. We approved that the deputies could take the cars home. And I don't have a problem with that. There's a few other departments that have to take vehicles home too, which I didn't have a problem with. And when I kept reading through this, I kept thinking, a lot of this pertains to the sheriff's department, but probably not all of it.
In regard to the vehicles, you mean?
No, the whole policy.
No.
That's what came to my mind, but yes, I realize it is to cover the whole county.
Give a typo. Allowable payments, right there.
Thank you for that, sir. I'm sure, the sheriff's people are covered under this too, but it's
Maybe it's because I've seen the sheriff's department policy more, I don't know.
maybe, right.
But nothing stood out to me that should be changed. That you did a nice job putting it together with the changes that you have.
Probably a silly question, but the sheriff's office is the only union in the county, right?
That's
Correct.
correct. Yep.
And most of this policy would probably be in that contract then?
No,
Their union?
they
No.
have a separate.
They have a
So it's basically, if it's not covered in their union contract, then county policy rules, for lack of a better term.
This doesn't.
I would make a motion to approve the policy manual updates and bring to the full board.
Mr. Buckles.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Buckles to approve and bring it to the full board coming a week from today at 5:00. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Litterwood, for your help.
Thanks, Rose.
Number 15, Sawyer County Administrator update.
Thank you. Just a couple things I'll touch on here. With economic development, Brian Priester is the new director, and he has been meeting with a lot of different people. He actually went and met with Dave Armstrong from Barron County, who's been very successful in this. I know our counties are different, but anything you can glean from somebody is a good thing with the new person. So he's loving the work, which is great, and I think he's going to end up being a very good director for us. As far as finance, we're working on 2027 budget. The parameters and the timeline was approved at finance a couple hours ago, so we will send all that out to both department heads and outside organizations on the expectations that we have of them and get everything back by July 31st. A few meetings coming up. I'll be going to the Wisconsin Counties Association District meeting next week, which is right here in Hayward on the 17th. We've got an ad hoc meeting with members of the TGB on Monday, the 15th, and those have been going very well. And we're going to try to work on the tower there, the WOGB tower, because we do need that for our upgrade. And then some things to report on with CJCC. We had that meeting yesterday, and it was a good meeting. We heard a presentation from Aura Lee Carroll from Northwood Tech. She works with the jail population. She spends about 8 to 10 hours a week in there, which I didn't know she did. It was really interesting information. She works with coursework for HSED and GED. She's got 18 people that completed the HSED coursework, and she also works with them beyond that on SMART goals, for the inmates, and then also with connecting them with post-secondary education opportunities. She's had a lot of good luck with CDL and welding programs. Yeah, those are the two biggest ones, and that's great. One thing that we've noticed, and Sheriff has mentioned this at both Public Safety and CJCC, our jail population is down, but what also is down significantly is the unemployment rate at time of booking. And he's mentioned several times those two really go hand in hand. If people have jobs or making money, feel good about themselves, are less likely to be in the court system. So I think all of this is great. The one thing she also mentioned was that this is a statewide program, it's grant funded, but statewide, this program has helped reduce recidivism by 47%, which is pretty remarkable. So a lot of the work that state's doing, we're doing, is really helping. Along with that, both Judge Isham and Judge Smith mentioned that our youth deflection program is really paying dividends. They're seeing it with the juveniles who are entering the court system, both in reduction of them, but also how they behave when they do come in. They're respectful, they go through the protocols that they're asked to do and make it through the system. So it's been very, very good. And then finally, Dave Dixon spoke a little bit about Timber Bay. That's that youth program that is right across the street. I never know directions, wherever it is, that way. And they've got about 18 kids in the program right now, and 8 to 10 appear every Wednesday, on any given Wednesday for the stuff they do. They do a lot of outdoor adventures, and the idea is to build trust. They've got so many volunteers that each kid in the program basically has their own mentor, but they're trying to build trust and then speak into their lives about make good decisions, basically. So that's another program that's really helping our youth in Sawyer County. And that's all I've got, unless there are any questions.
Thank you. Number 16, Board Appointment Committee updates. Anybody have anything they want to share? 17, conferences, reports. 18, future agenda items. Anybody have anything in future agenda items they want? If you think of something during the month and you want to ask something, feel free to do that. We'll try to get an agenda for you.
I have a question,
Yes.
and it's more it's not a bad thing. I'm just asking, have we ever given, this is your first year, right? Do you prefer having a review annually? We're doing one for our superintendent. We do that every year, and it made me think, like, that would be preferred in your employment report, right? So I didn't know if we have to do that as an admin team, or if you just do that. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I would prefer an annual, yeah. In the, different setting in the school, it was done by the superintendent, not a committee, but either way, I'm fine with.
Well, this is what I did with Tom Huff. Have you ever had a chance to look that information up? There's somewhere in the file, Carol Williamson was the clerk at the time, when I did an evaluation of the administrator. The first time I did it, I had all department heads do one, and then we had all the county board members do one, and I had him do his own also. And then the second year, when I did it, I had him do one and I did one, and we collaborated after that. This year. So I think it's through UW Extension, there's a evaluation form out there, and there should be a folder somewhere, and maybe it'll have Tom Huff's name on it or something. But I did evaluations. I don't know if you and Tweed ever did evaluations as administrator. So.
No.
So we come up with that form, you and I'll get together, if that's acceptable.
I think that would be great to have a form. I mean, it just covers his back, covers the county's back. If there's any issues, then you have that record in your file that, or if you're asking for a raise or, something of that nature. I just always think that it would be irresponsible of us not to do a review, I think.
So we'll see if we can find that form. If not, we can produce another one.
I know there's a file folder for Tom Hoff in my file cabinet. I know that there's something like that in there. Now, it's not a blank form, it's gonna be filled out for him. So if I can find that same form somehow, we can use it.
It's gonna say, I'm just going off my memory, it came from UW Extension, so if you can find out what the form is, maybe you can go to UW,
Sure, yep.
and then we'll communicate and make things work. Thank you for bringing that up, Stacy. Next meeting, July 9th, 10 o'clock. Jesus, it'll be after the 4th of July. So, meeting adjourned. Have a good 4th of July, but I'll see you Thursday.